So good morning and welcome to Grace St. Luke's Church. For those who are gathered here in the room and those who are joining us via live stream, we are pleased to present Music for All Ages with Stephen Lee of the Memphis Jazz Workshop. Founded in 2016 by Memphis native and accomplished jazz musician Stephen Lee, Memphis Jazz Workshop provides music initiatives and unparalleled guidance to help with middle and high school students instructed by a collection of well-versed and experienced teachers from diverse backgrounds. Many of you might be familiar with the Memphis Jazz Workshop. They have performed here at Grace St. Luke's on several occasions, including at the LeMaster Turf, have been a part of our Shrove Tuesday Festival, but there are students who are involved in many ways, some of whom play on Sunday nights. So if you've been to the 5 o'clock service, whenever there has been jazz, some of the talent that we will experience this morning are part of that as well. Stephen has continued to be a wonderful friend to Grace St. Luke's, and so he will come up now and make some introductions and share more about the program. But again, welcome to Stephen Lee.
Thank you, Pastor Grace St. Luke family. Yes, my name is Stephen Lee. I'm the founder and executive director of Memphis Jazz Workshop. First thing we're going to do, we're going to do an icebreaker. And the icebreaker we'll have our students perform. We'll have Houston Moore on trumpet. Give it up for it. We'll have Abraham on piano. Now these are 11th graders. So they're very, very young. So the icebreaker will be they will perform a Duke Ellington piece titled Sea Jam Blues. Okay, so that was C Jam Blues. What I'm gonna try to do, try to break this up in a couple, three parts. First part would be trying to just explain what are they doing. They played the melody, which that's the melody of the tune. But what's all that other stuff that they're doing? Anybody tell me what what you think that consists of? All the improvisation that they was doing. So what we'll do, teach you some music theory. We're going to look at C Jam Blues. That's the music they just played. Now, if you look at the music is really broken up into 12 measures. And if you don't understand music, these lines divides the measures. So you got one measure, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So the song is really just 12 measures. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 4, 3, 4, 5, 2, 3, 4, 6, 3, 4, 7, 8, 2, 3, 4, 9, 2, 3, 4, 10, 2, 3, 4, 11, 2, 3, 4, 12, 2, 3, 4, then it back to the top. So that's the song, it's really just 12 measures. Now all the other stuff they're doing consists of scales, listening, transcribing solos. What that means, for example, they might take a Miles Davis solo that he recorded 57 blues. They would either transcribe the whole solo, and I'm just using Miles Davis, John Coltrane, Bill Evans, whoever the jazz musician is. They would transcribe that solo and collect ideas from hundreds of other jazz musicians to come up with the idea that they're playing at the moment. So it comes with a lot of practicing, a lot of transcribing, so a lot of listening. But at the bottom of this page, this is called the C minor blues. So this is one idea you can use over these 12 measures. One idea you can use. So I'm gonna let them demonstrate. First, just play the melody. We're gonna count the measures with them. 1, yeah, okay. 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That's the whole song. That's the whole song. So, all right, jazz. Type of music of African American origin characterized by improvisation, syncopation, and usually a regular or forceful rhythm emerging at the beginning of the 20th century. So, guess the next thing would be just play the blues scale. Just play the blues scale. Play it together. 1, 2, 3, 4. So they're gonna use that one idea and play. You solo, you come, Eli. They can use that one, the blues scale, they can use that one idea to play over. This is jazz, this is what it's about. Using scales and a bunch of rhythmic ideas, syncopation, forceful rhythms to make up this music. So what they're gonna do now, you play that scale, Eli, you come. 1, 2, 1, 2. Hold on. And he can play that scale any way he wants to. If you look at the notes, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 notes. Then they go back down. They're the same notes. If you look at the bottom of the page. So what he's gonna do, he's gonna play that scale any type of way he wants to. Any type of way he wants to. They will go over the changes, and the changes are, you see this C7, the F7 and G7, so he's gonna play this scale over these 3 changes, C7, F7, and G7. Go. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. only this on these improvisations. And that's just one idea. It's hundreds of other scales he can use. So when you hear somebody, you listen to jazz and you hear a bunch of notes. They're really just not a bunch of notes. They're it's a what's it? There's a madness to the what they say?
Method to the madness.
Madness to the madness. Yeah. So this one way of approaching this music scales. Now it's just a lot of other scales he can use. There's a lot of techniques he can use, but I just want you to understand how this music works. Even if they play the tune, take the A train. You're not familiar with that?
Yeah.
Okay. You got my A train? All right, so now they're going to play the A train, and he's going to use that same scale. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Just a melody. Here comes the solo of the C blues. Now see, what the piano, his job is really hard. He don't have a bass lick, so he's walking the bass to doom 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 doom. That keeps the pulse going, and he's walking the bass and he's comping. And I'm a pianist. I don't think I was doing that in 11th grade. So it's just amazing to see him doing that. Jay, you have your intake on?
Yeah, jazz, blues. So this is just in short. This music is like another language. Learning another language. Say for instance, take a baby for instance. Baby cries first, and then next you hear some babble. Say for instance, and next you may hear mama, dada. Next you hear some phrases. And after a while you hear some sentences. It's the same thing in this music. They learn scales, they learn harmony, and also transcribe. What I mean by transcribing is going back to the masters and imitate what they do, or what notes they play, and internalize it as your own. So, but it's like another language. You learn another language compared to the English language or any other language. So, yeah.
Okay. So did that make sense? What they just did? Does it make sense? Okay. All right. So the next part of it is the history. A lot of people don't know that jazz education. I mean, before there was Juilliard, New School, Michigan University. It started right here in Memphis. Jazz education in the schools started right here in Memphis at Bonanza High School by band leader Jimmy Lunsford. Please research Jimmy Lunsford. You know, he's after Tennessee University, once came to Memphis to coach him, but came as a football coach. Coached him in high school. He also organized a student band. And I mean, this band, they say was better than Ellington Band, Cap Calloway, all these bands. Yeah, Jimmy Lunsford. Yeah, you just read this right quick. Yeah, you want, yeah.
It was, his band was also made up of his high school students. So that's what most
Right.
right. I think they were at the Cotton Club or something. They were battling with Duke Ellington Band, and they had like a battle. And of course, Jimmy Lunsford Band came out on top.
And some of the musicians that was in this band, you had to really follow jazz, but George Coleman played with Miles, the late 50s, Charles Lloyd, Harold Mabry, great pianist, Frank Strozier, who else? Booker Little. And these were renowned jazz artists that came right out of Dance High School. There was some more. Who?
Let's see.
Your mother-in-law, Ernest. Yeah, his great singer.
Yeah.
Came out of dances.
And I want to add, Booker Little was only, I could call him a baby. He was only 23. He died at 23 and made a big dent on jazz. I believe, and a lot of other trumpet players believe he was the key to the modern jazz trumpet player. Booker Little.
So you fast forward, I feel the Memphis Jazz Workshop stand on the shoulders of Jimmy Lunsford and Nance High School band. It's 9 years later, 2017. Memphis Jazz Workshop was founded to cultivate the future young people in jazz. So, living in New York, all through the 2000s to maybe 08, I was around the jazz scene. And I was witnessing kids their age burning on the instruments. I mean, really playing at a high level at a very early age. So after moving back to Memphis, teaching public school for a couple years, I just do that. I couldn't do that. Public school is a challenging job. It's rewarding. It's a blessing, but for me, I wanted to get students who were serious about learning jazz. You know, in public school, they kind of just dump a lot of kids in the classroom. Kids don't want to be in the classroom. They tell you, the teacher. So, comes with that is classroom management. You have to manage the class. You have a lot of kids who don't want to be in this class. So you really can't reach the ones who want to do it. So that's when it came with this idea to start, Memphis Jazz Workshop. And some things we do, build the legacy of jazz, provide jazz education. They can talk about some things they're doing, learning in the class. Prepare the next generation move on. Now these two young men are here. If I'm not mistaken, this is what they want to do for a living. And they're gonna be very, very successful. I'm speaking actually at lives, but I just know, and I know they practice habits and attitude and everything. So, a few years back, you can say you saw these kids play this place. By developing skills to create college scholarships, our students probably is over $2 million for scholarships that they go all over the country and go to school for free or partial scholarship. It's probably about $3 million, and this is within the last 6 years, 5 years. Yeah, so it's a blessing that they have this opportunity. Now what I do, I'll let them talk briefly just about what they experienced in the Memphis Jazz Workshop and all West, all state. So they'll be representing Memphis going to all state April 19th. So here's your boy.
Hi, I'm Houston Moore. This is Elias Ibrahim on piano. We were both juniors at Carterville High School. And we've been doing the Jazz Workshop since 2020. I know I have. Elias joined the same year. So we've been doing it for about 3 years. Jazz workshop's great. You know, there's a lot you can learn, and there's a lot you can absorb if you go to the jazz workshop. There's a lot of just fountains of knowledge like Steve Lee or Mr. Yancey that will really help you grow, and they'll give you direction and where to go if you want to be really serious about this music. And you could be surrounded by musicians like you who are also serious about it. And you know, it's just a good environment to be around to kind of you know, expand musically and creatively and socially too. You make a lot of connections that way, and you're not limited to just high school jazz band. You get to meet kids from all around the district, like Millington, Houston High School. I know a lot of kids from Houston High School and Millington. So it's just a good way to, you know, learn a lot, grow a lot, make connections, and yeah, I can say I'm glad I did it.
Yeah, it's one thing just to practice your instrument, but when you get to play with other people, it really takes you to another level of playing. Again, I'm really grateful for to be able to play with a lot of jazz musicians, like a full band, almost every week. So that really influences your playing and like takes you to the next level, I would say. Just besides at-home practice.
And how we do this, we meet 12 Saturdays in the spring. We do a 3-week summer camp in the summer, and we meet 12 Saturdays in the fall. And the schedule looks like they get there at 8:30. Classes really don't start till like 9. But the first hour, we break, well, the first hour, yeah, we kind of break them up. Like, the piano students will come to me, trumpet students will go to Johnny Yancey, sax students will go to intern we have from the University of Memphis, Kenneth Reed, who was also part of the program. And they also go to Gary Topper, if you know Gary Topper. So we split them up in small groups. We call them master classes. And some of the things that I work on, I'm gonna use you again, Eli. The first thing I work on is for all the piano players to be able to do 2-5-1s in all 12 keys. And those are chords that used in all different styles of music, from gospel, R&B, country, rock and roll. Everybody used 2-5-1s. So, Eli, do an example of play a 2-5-1, but do it in all 12 keys. Starting on 2-5-1, the first one in C major. Okay, that's the first one. Then you go past that. Keep going. That's all of them. So it's 12 tones. So I make sure the piano players can do all in all 12 keys. And I also make sure they can learn stride piano. Show them the technique of the stride piano. So that's, so and most of them, you know, when they first get in there, they struggle. But they probably ask me, Mr. Lee, why you want us to learn these 2-5-1s? Because when you learn them, you can play, if I give them any song that's in the real book standards, where we play a lot of songs from, called standards, they can look at those standards and they can be able to play any standard in the real book just by knowing those chord changes. So that's my technique. Johnny, you can talk about, he's the trumpet instructor, Johnny Yancey.
Yeah. Sometimes I'd like to talk about technical things for playing trumpet. Also, in my master class, I always stress listening to the masters and transcribing and scales. So I'm gonna do an example of just a simple 2-5. Playing over a 2-5. black music concert. So the 251 that Mr. Lee spoke about, we kind of analyzed how we structure those 2-5s from like a major scale, any major scale, how we treat like the 2 of the scale and the 5th of any scale, major scale, and then back to 1. So that's mostly what I stress is listening, transcribing.
I know we have room for questions at the end, but anybody have questions now about what's going on? Any questions? Oh, 2, okay. We have a question?
I was going to ask you guys what it is about jazz that gets your spirit, that you love, that you appreciate. Why jazz, in other words? How does it move you, reach you?
I would say compared to a lot of other genres, you can put your own like tinge inside of music with improvisation. So you can have your own sound, especially on piano. I mean, you can play like the same thing a billion ways. So that's how you know, oh, this piano's played this way, or this piano's played this way. So that's what I like about it personally. Like, you can have your own sound. Even at an early stage of an ordering process, you can kind of have your own sound. I can like tell my friends apart who's playing what. Like even the trumpet players I know, I can tell who's who. Piano players who's who. That's what I like about it.
I would say the same thing. It's more personal than really any other genre. And if you play trumpet, you're really only going to be choosing from like jazz, classical, or commercial. And jazz is something I've always leaned towards, just because what Elias said is more personal. You can put your own tinge on it, and just the art of improvisation. It can be very challenging, but it can be very fun too. So improvisation is something I think every musician, no matter what genre, should at least tap into a little bit. But it's more prevalent in jazz, which is one of the reasons I lean towards it. But again, like you said, you can put your own tinge on it no matter what level you are. And it's very, especially with trumpet, it varies widely. You have players like Louis Armstrong, and then you have players like Dizzy Gillespie and Miles Davis and Chet Baker. It's very wide. Everyone has a very unique and different sound. And so that's what I was saying.
So you obviously chose 2 very different instruments, and I'd be curious to know, well, kind of a twofold question: who are your kind of trumpet icon, piano icon? Of course, aside from your professors, but who do you, when they are the jazz masters? And I listen to a lot of jazz, and whenever I travel, I go find jazz. But I'm always curious to know from people who play who they appreciate the most. So.
Well, for me, I think about it in 2 different ways. I think about modern players that are alive today, and then like players that have passed. So, but really, I mean, off the top of my head, I listen to players and I transcribe players, and I try and emulate players like Dizzy Gillespie, Miles Davis, Roy Eldridge, Clark Terry is one of my favorites. And those are, more, some of the more modern ones would be like Sean Jones, Wynton Marsalis, I think Terrell Stafford. There's a lot of really great players today, but really it's, it could be a lot. It could be like a lot of different players at the same time, but I guess those names would be some of my main inspirations.
So my biggest inspirations on piano, I've had that people too. Oscar Peterson and Wynton Kelly. They played, during like maybe the 40s to 60s, like people like Miles Davis, like really big people. But I look to them because they have such like impressive command of their instrument, especially like Oscar Peterson. And Wynton Kelly is very melodic when he improvises. That's why I like transcribing him. It sounds like almost like he wrote down the solo before he even played it, even though he's making it up on top of his head. But those are 2 pianists I really like.
Yeah, the great thing about this music is it's like an artist draws. you create the music at the spur of the moment. And I think it's a very spiritual music. That's why I chose it. And it's when you internalize it, it makes you feel better. And if it makes us feel better, it makes you feel better. That's my take on it.
Also, I'm coming to. You're not just learning through the workshop. You're not just learning how to, be a musician. A lot of life skills comes along with learning this music. Time management, because you have to practice. Being committed to something, dedication. So we use improvisation as to learn life skills through learning how to improvise. That's how I kind of look at it. For my piano players, I don't know if y'all familiar with Art Blakey and the Jazz Messengers. That's another group you can check out, Art Blakey and the Jazz Messengers. But their piano player, Bobby Timmons, was one of my favorite pianists. And I'm gonna try to demonstrate why I like him. Not only he's bluesy, but he would. It was swinging so hard. I mean, it's like, it's so much churchy to me. He's just one of my favorites. Of course, Herbie Hancock, Wynn Kelly, but Bobby Timmons, man. I was in Las Vegas, and I got a hold of his first record. Then I think I bought all his records. Like, it's probably about 15 different records. But Bobby Timmons. Bobby Timmons is my favorite. You have a question?
Yeah, I don't know if I can make a request. If there's like 3 young people in here. So I used to be, my son was at overtime, and that was Mr. Huddleston at that time. And he would, when they get a little rowdy for improv, he would let them improv on cartoons, kids shows, so they do like Sesame Street.
Yes.
So for the kids here, is it possible that they could do something to draw them? I don't know.
Yes, we always recruit the students. I forgot to mention, we always recruiting students. We're always looking for different funding opportunities. That's the major things that we keep this thing going is different funding opportunities and more students. Yes, and we can set them, they can be beginners. We're actually in the process of setting up an after-school program for beginners. So yes, they can learn this music. Now we have a alumni student, Kenneth. And y'all are familiar with the video songs that they're using now for a lot of guys are using not cartoons, but this video thing they're using that has a lot of jazz influence. I wish Kenneth was here, but but it's all cartoons really all that stuff was jazz. All of it was jazz.
And you can improvise on cartoons.
Can we hear it?
Can we hear it?
Can you play something for the kids?
Oh, your Flintstone, you do the
Yeah,
hit to that?
Flintstones, Little Bill.
that go?
What's the question?
If you want to go hear jazz in Memphis, where to go? A lot of different places. Actually, one place is GPAC. They have a jazz series. They bring them artists from all over the world. Crosstown, they have a jazz there a lot. We're having something, if you can remember the dates, well, I can do it Pastor Oliver. We're having our end of the season concert. This April 29th. It'll be the Memphis Music Room. So we always do concert. We have something this summer at GPAC, July 8th. We'll feature our big band and our alumni students. But there's a lot of jazz that's come up over the last 4 or 5 years. Weston has a jazz thing every other Friday. So really have to Google jazz in Memphis. You'll be surprised. You'll be surprised what'll come up.
Also, 5 o'clock at Grace St. Luke's.
Right, yep, I'll be here once, but really once a month. Yes, that's right.
You're here next Sunday.
Yes, I will. Yeah. And this I really enjoy doing. Thanks for the opportunity because it gives me, you really when somebody say they want to hear jazz in the church. Where I'm coming from is like, oh, really? It's kind of taboo, but that's another conversation. I respect this man so much for having me and this music, to share this music to this church. I just thank you so much. And he's a jazz fan too, so that's really cool. But yeah, so next Sunday, 5 o'clock. Yes. So this is our mission. Memphis Jazz Workshop is a nonprofit organization committed to elevating young musicians by providing jazz education and performing opportunities with professional jazz musicians while embracing jazz as a truly American art form. We have some of the best jazz musicians in the city that teach these students. Gary Talker, of course, Johnny Yanson. I teach piano. We have Michael Scott. Let me see if I can go fast and talk about Michael Scott. Michael Scott, this is Michael Scott here. You can read a little bit about him. Michael Scott been with the Memphis Symphony for about, 45 years. Plays all the woodwind. So if a student has a question about alto saxophone or bassoon, they will ask him. He has a wealth of knowledge and experience and connections around the city. So we're grateful to have Michael Scott. I thought he was coming today, but I think the Symphony has a concert this evening, I think. So here's some information about me. This is another one of our workers. This is a picture that we took, I think the year before COVID. He was like, what is this? Yeah, this is before COVID. This was our summer camp. We had about 50. Boy, that was a summer to remember. We had about 60 students at one time in high school at Crosstown. It was a good experience, but a lot of those students has graduated. They're in college. Not just musicians. They're doing all type of work. I think that most of them, the majority of them has went on and doing other stuff. Another thing, jazz improvisation teaches me, like for now, I kind of had a plan on how to do this, but I'm improvising. I'm creating, I'm feeding off what they was doing, what he was talking about, the questions. So I'm creating on the spot, and it's easy. Well, I think it's easy. I guess you could be the judge. It's kind of easy for me to not be stuck in one, this is how this has to happen. And I know I can veer different ways and still try to get my point across. And that's what jazz teaches you. Because when you're playing a solo, You know, your idea, you go to the solo, you're like, I'm gonna play this on this solo. But when it's time to improvise, you probably won't do that. You'll probably do something totally different. So it teaches you how to just be able to be free and to know it's okay to make mistakes. And don't beat yourself up if you make mistakes. These are some of the schools that has been part of the organization. And these students come from all over the city, all the way from South Memphis to Collierville. I mean, it's probably about 10 more schools that we service. And we just signed a contract a couple of weeks ago. We are Memphis City Schools, so we'll be in a number of schools now. So that's a good thing. I thank God for that opportunity. But that would give us more access to more schools and more students. Hey, these are some of the schools that our students attend or has attended. Like I say, it's probably more, it's definitely more. But this PowerPoint, I think, was put together maybe a few years ago for a grant to the High Foundation. Some of the board members. I've been trying to play this video. This student right here, great trombonist. He decided to go to college to be a double E major, electrical engineer major at Washington University. He also was selected to be part of the Carnegie Hall Jazz Band 2 summers ago. Hey, yeah, I might just have him talk about. Let's talk about.
I started playing jazz a couple years ago, and you know, you go into a room, you practice, you learn the scales, you learn the chords, you learn the tunes and all this stuff. It's a day-by-day grind, and the difference between practicing by yourself and going to these workshops is you get to play with other cats that are just as passionate about this type of music as you are. You get to go in, and all the hard work that you've been doing by yourself alone pays off. When you play a Charlie Parker lick, and someone laughs, or you call a tune, everybody knows it. And that's why I appreciate this program so much. I've probably been here a decent amount of time, maybe been here 2-3 weeks, but I already know I'm enjoying this so much. And meeting all these kids that are just like me and are just as passionate about this type of music. Invested in getting better is why I like this workshop so much.
Yeah, now that student could have easily come a world-renowned trombonist. He still might one day, but he wants to do another major. He wants to be an engineer. So a lot of these students, some want to do this for a living, but we have some that just want to learn the music and apply it other ways.
Steve, will you and Mr. Yancey just share about your training and maybe where you performed a few times, or just any highlights?
I graduated from Carver High School right in South Memphis. Long time ago. I hate to give my age because of it. I came out of high school 1987. Went to University of Tennessee in Knoxville, where I studied with another Memphis, Donald Brown. Left Knoxville, lived in Vegas for about maybe a year. Left Vegas, got an opportunity to live in Switzerland and Paris, playing music in the Alps Mountains and all over Switzerland. Y'all know Europe is a life-changing experience. Once you go to Europe, for me, I've never been the same. And somebody told me that. They said once you experience Europe, it just changes you, and it has. So I left Europe. I came back to Memphis for maybe a year. Then I moved to New York. I think '96. I stayed in New York for maybe 10 years. When I was in New York, I was working with. I used to go pick up Esperanza Spalding and take her to gigs in Harlem. I used to do gigs with Gregory Porter, block parties in Brooklyn. Just so many musicians, and I used to jam back then. Man, we would do jam sessions till like 10 in the morning. You know, at Smalls, a famous jazz club in New York. We would start like at 1 or 2. I'll wait tables, get off work about 12:30, go straight to the jazz club and stay all night. Practice when everybody leaves, because I didn't have a piano where I was staying at. So I practice when everybody leaves and go back, wait tables, come back to Smalls. I did that for probably about 3 or 4 years, because I just wanted to learn this music. And around that time, there were just so many great players in New York. But these guys who I was hanging out with, they was friends with John Coltrane, Charlie Parker. We talked about the late 90s, Art Blakey. So I had a chance to really get the knowledge that, that they shared, being around these greats in the 60s and 70s. Moved from New York with my wife and daughter with $200. That's all I had, $200. I stayed with my mother for a while. Started teaching at Shelby County School for 3 years, taught at Stacks for about 5. Started Memphis Jazz Workshop, and actually got the nonprofit license certificate 2016. So I've been doing that since then. But I play around the city. I'm actually gonna go record a CD in about 2 hours. This will be my second CD. The first CD was nominated for a Stellar Award, Rhythm and Gospel Award. I really don't talk about myself, so they probably surprised I'm even doing that I'm doing all this stuff. But yeah, but so that's a little bit about me.
Well, mine is simple. I've been here all my life, and went to Lincoln Junior High, where I started trumpet. Southside High School, and after Southside, we speak of Donald Brown. The summer I was about to enter college. I asked Donald Brown, I said, "Man, show me how to play this music." So, I studied with him for a little while, and after that, I worked at FedEx for like 25 years. Still doing music all along, and in short, I work at Shelby County Correctional in the maintenance department now, and I got about 10 days before I retire. But playing music all along the way, organized a big band, and I think it was 2001, I believe, and I still have it. It's very difficult these days to do big band, but I guess I'm stubborn. Try to keep it going. But other than that, I've just been playing, just gigs around the city. I just love the music. It's all just in my blood. So, as I said, that was just simple.
Okay, a couple more minutes. Any more questions?
My question is for the students up there. When you're not playing jazz or listening to jazz, are there any other genres of music that you like, and do you find that you gravitate toward artists that have that jazz influence?
Well, for me, I play in an ensemble, and I take lessons with a teacher who teaches me classical trumpet and classical technique. So
classical is also another genre that I tap into often. I try and balance the two, but I think really classical and jazz, they complement each other in a lot of ways. There's a lot of stuff you can find in classical music, and there's also a lot of stuff you can find in jazz. So classical is definitely a genre I tap into, mainly because of the teacher I take with, but also there's certain goals that I have that are kind of centered around, classical training and classical technique. For example, I'm part of this quintet, this trumpet quintet, with 5 trumpets that my teachers put together. It's with kids from all over the district, other high schools. But yes, 5 trumpets, and we're preparing a piece for the national trumpet competition. And we've gone up to colleges. We went to Arkansas State last weekend and played it for them. We're about to play it for a couple of professors at the University of Memphis, and we leave Thursday to travel up, drive up to Colorado, the national trumpet competition, because so it's certain things like that. Like I try and balance it to classical and jazz, but yeah, classical definitely. And then there's commercial stuff like big band, stuff like that. But I try and balance all the genres because there's a lot you can find from each genre.
For me, it'd be like mostly R&B and soul music. A lot of it is like really, really like some of jazz. A lot of like R&B musicians start off playing jazz, so I find like there's a lot of like similarities. So I mean, I always want to like venture off to new stuff and not just focus on jazz, but me focus on jazz helps with my other genres I go into. Like whether it's like a gig where we play like pop music, like studying jazz helps a lot with that. It doesn't seem that way, but it does. Like the more you focus on like genre, study your technique and stuff, it applies and shows up all the music you play. So I would say it's important to venture out and play other genres.
Any more questions? I think I have maybe 2 more minutes, 2 or 4 minutes. I think that might be it. So thank y'all.
Friends, thank you for being here today. As I mentioned, it is a gift that we have an opportunity at Grace St. Luke's to have a lot of different music that's offered in our spaces, in the church and in this space. And as was mentioned at our 5 o'clock service on a monthly basis, one of the music genres is jazz. So there is information. I know that Steve, he talked about fundraising. He did bring some brochures and things to share more about the program and ways that support can be given. And if you know any middle or high schoolers that might be interested in the program, they are very patient with that child's interest. And so that's something that they continue to foster. So again, thank you to Steve Lee and the Memphis Jazz Workshop.
Also, on the flyer, we now have an online radio station. It's the only jazz radio station in the city of Memphis. But you can download the app. You go to your Apple Store and download MJWR 90.1. And we actually are about to set it up. The whole place will be not across town, Memphis Music Room. We'll have DJs come in and do live shows, and the students will be part of it also. So it's an online radio station called the Memphis Jazz. It's MJWR 90.1 on your Apple Store. And it's also on the flyer too. Now this flyer that I give you is it's a kind of old flyer because it was a flyer we was distributing for this spring, winter and spring session. But the website is still on here, MemphisJazzWorkshop.org.
the radio information is on there too.
So once again, thank y'all so much. Thank you, Pastor. Thank you. Yeah, y'all can. You don't have to take these with you.